Do you remember that feeling? That absolute heart-pounding thrill the moment you first turned the key in the ignition of your very own car? For many of us, it wasn't just a vehicle. It was a passport, a declaration of independence, a roaring symbol of pure, unadulterated freedom. It was the 1960s, a time of change, of rock and roll, and for a generation coming of age, it was the era when the open road truly called our name. Before we really get cruising down memory lane, I've got a little challenge for you. Take a close look at this if you can picture it. It was often a small, usually black or chrome knob, tucked away on the dashboard, sometimes next to the radio, sometimes near the heater controls. On a frosty morning or after the car had been sitting for a while, you'd reach for it, pull it out all the way, give the gas pedal a pump or two, and then crank the engine. As the motor coughed and sputtered to life, you'd slowly push it back in, listening intently to the engine's rhythm. You knew exactly what you were doing, mastering that delicate balance to keep your ride from stalling. What am I describing? It was a common feature on many cars back then, a little manual trick to get your engine warmed up. Think about it for a moment and let us know if you remember using one. That little knob and everything it represented was just one small part of the ritual of owning a car in the 60s. The journey to getting your first set of wheels was an odyssey in itself. Maybe you saved every penny from your paper route or from bagging groceries at the local supermarket. Perhaps you worked weekends at the gas station, smelling like oil and exhaust, all for that glorious down payment. The hunt was half the fun. You'd scour the classifieds in the local newspaper. 62 Chevy Impala, good condition, needs minor work, best offer. Or maybe you'd walk the used car lots, the air thick with the smell of old upholstery and ambition. You'd kick the tires, peek under the hood, and try to look knowledgeable even if you barely knew a carburetor from a spark plug. Your dad or an older brother often came along offering sage advice about rust spots and engine knocks, trying to steer you towards something sensible. But your heart? Your heart was set on that flashy convertible, or the muscle car with the roar, or even just a beat-up old Ford that promised adventure. Then came the day. The cash was exchanged, the title signed, and those keys, those precious, weighty keys, were finally in your hand. The first time you sat behind the wheel, alone, was an almost spiritual experience. The worn seats, the faint scent of stale cigarettes or spilled soda, the familiar hum of the engine, it was all yours. You'd back out of the driveway, maybe a little too fast, maybe stalling once or twice, but then you were on the road. The windows would go down, the radio would come on, KFWB, KHJ, WLS, whatever your local station was, blasting the latest hits from the Beatles, the Beach Boys, or the Supremes. You weren't just driving, you were cruising. Where did you go first? For many, it was just a drive around the block, a triumphant lap past your friends' houses, a silent declaration, I made it. For others, it was a pilgrimage to the local diner, the drive-in movie theater, or that secret spot overlooking the town lights. Suddenly, the world expanded. No more begging for rides, no more relying on parents or older siblings. You could go to the Friday night football game, pick up your date for the sock hop, or just drive aimlessly with your buddies talking about everything and nothing. That first car was more than metal and rubber. It was the embodiment of youthful dreams, a tangible piece of the future that was unfolding before you. It was responsibility, yes, gas money, insurance, maybe even learning to change a flat tire. But it was also unbridled freedom, a feeling so potent it still stirs in our memories today. That potent feeling wasn't just about driving, it was about the entire experience of owning a car in the 60s. It was the ritual of pulling into the full-service gas station, where attendants in crisp uniforms would pump your gas, check your oil, and even wash your windshield, all for maybe 25 or 30 cents a gallon. Remember those days? $1 could fill your tank and still leave you with change for a pack of gum. There was a camaraderie, a connection to the local mechanic who knew your car well, always ready with a quick fix for a rattling muffler or a leaky radiator. Learning to check the dipstick, knowing the sound of a healthy engine, even changing a flat tire on the side of the road with a jack that felt like it came from the Stone Age. These weren't chores, they were rites of passage. They were lessons in self-reliance, teaching you the mechanics of the world, one busted fan belt at a time. And oh, the cars themselves. What was your first love? Was it a sleek '65 Mustang, its chrome gleaming, promising speed and style? Maybe a roaring GTO, a true muscle car that turned heads and sent shivers down your spine every time you floored the accelerator. Or perhaps a dependable Ford Falcon or a Chevy Nova, a workhorse that got you where you needed to go, even if it wasn't the flashiest ride on the block. Some of us even started with a quirky VW Beetle, a little German import that was surprisingly roomy and incredibly fuel efficient, a counterculture icon in its own right. Whatever it was, it had character. It had a smell, a unique blend of gasoline, exhaust, old vinyl, and perhaps a faint whiff of whatever air freshener you hung from the rearview mirror. Pine tree, anyone? The car wasn't just transportation, it was an extension of your personality, a canvas for self-expression. You might add a set of mag wheels, those shiny chrome beauties that made your ride stand out. Maybe a pair of fuzzy dice hanging from the mirror, or a surfboard strapped to the roof, even if you lived 100 miles from the nearest beach. Fender skirts, custom paint jobs, loud mufflers that announced your arrival from a block away. Every modification was a statement. You'd spend hours polishing the chrome, waxing the paint until it reflected the sky, meticulously vacuuming the floor mats. It was more than just keeping it clean. It was about pride, about presenting your best self to the world, one gleaming fender at a time. And with that gleaming machine, the world was truly your oyster. Cruising was an art form. Every Friday and Saturday night, main streets across America transformed into a rolling parade. You'd drive slowly, windows down, arm resting on the door, nodding to friends, checking out who was with whom, and maybe even catching the eye of that special someone. The local drive-in restaurant, like a Bob's Big Boy or a local A&W, became the epicenter of social life. Car hops on roller skates would bring your burgers and fries right to your window, hanging a tray on your door. You'd sit there for hours, talking, laughing, listening to the radio, the rumble of engines and chatter of friends. It was a mobile community, a place where friendships were forged, and young love blossomed under the neon glow. Remember those long, aimless drives? No GPS, no cell phones, just a map, if you were really planning something, and the open road. You'd head out with a car full of friends, a cooler in the back, and a stack of 45s or an 8-track tape playing your favorite tunes. Maybe it was a trip to the next town over for a concert, or just a drive out to the county line and back, singing along at the top of your lungs. Those were the adventures that shaped us, the moments of pure, unadulterated joy and freedom that only a first car could provide. It was the soundtrack of our youth, played against the backdrop of an ever-expanding world, viewed through the windshield of our very own beloved automobile. And even now, decades later, that feeling of pure freedom, that sense of possibility, still echoes in our hearts. It wasn't always smooth sailing, though, was it? Along with the freedom came a healthy dose of responsibility, often a crash course in adulting. Remember scraping together every last dime for gas? Maybe it was a weekly allowance, or earnings from a part-time job, but every penny counted. Gas prices seemed unbelievably low by today's standards, but for a teenager with limited funds, even 25 cents a gallon could feel like a fortune. And then there was insurance, a mysterious, unavoidable cost that your parents probably handled, but you knew was looming. Or the dreaded repair bill. A flat tire was one thing, easily fixed with a bit of elbow grease and a tire iron, but a transmission problem or a blown head gasket. That could mean weeks of saving, or worse, begging your dad for a loan, which often came with a lecture about checking the oil regularly. These weren't just expenses, they were life lessons in budgeting, foresight, and the sometimes harsh realities of car ownership. But even those challenges couldn't dim the shine of that first car. It was the backdrop for so many firsts. First dates, nervously picking up that special someone, hoping your car was clean enough, cool enough. First road trips, even if it was just to the next town for a concert or a beach day. First moments of true independence, driving away from home for college or just moving into your own place, your worldly possessions and maybe a few records, packed in the trunk. Each mile was a memory, each journey a chapter in our personal coming-of-age story. Our cars were more than just machines. They were confidants, mobile therapists, and silent witnesses to our youthful adventures. How many secrets were shared within those four doors? How many dreams were spun while cruising down a moonlit road? How many tears were shed, or triumphant shouts echoed after a ball game, a breakup, or a joyous victory? The dashboard became a canvas for our mementos, ticket stubs from concerts, faded photos tucked into the sun visor, perhaps a lucky charm hanging from the mirror. It was a private sanctuary, a space where we could be ourselves, away from the watchful eyes of parents or teachers. The music, oh the music, it was the constant companion, the soundtrack to every adventure. From the crackle of AM radio playing the latest Motown hits, British invasion anthems or surf rock tunes, to the advent of 8-track players, allowing us to curate our own driving soundtrack. You'd spend hours tuning the radio just right, or carefully selecting the perfect tape for a long drive. The bass thumping through the floorboards, the windows down, the wind whipping through your hair. It was pure exhilaration. It wasn't just background noise. It was an integral part of the experience, forever linked to those moments of freedom and discovery. And speaking of those early car rituals, do you remember that little knob we talked about at the beginning? The one you'd pull out on a cold morning, pump the gas, and carefully push back in as the engine warmed up. Well, if you guessed the traction choke knob, you hit the nail on the head. That manual choke was a common feature on carbureted engines, essential for getting your car started and running smoothly before the automatic choke systems became standard. Mastering it was a true sign of a 60s driver, a little piece of mechanical magic that made you feel truly connected to your machine. That connection, that blend of independence and responsibility, that thrill of the open road. It's a feeling that stays with us, isn't it? Our first car wasn't just a mode of transportation, it was a character in the unfolding drama of our youth, a silent partner in our journey from adolescence to adulthood. It taught us, challenged us, and most importantly, it freed us. So tell us, what was your first car? What make and model was it? What color? What was the first place you drove it to? Share your fondest memory, the craziest adventure, or even the biggest mishap you had with that beloved set of wheels in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and relive those golden days with you. And if this trip down memory lane brought a smile to your face, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe for more nostalgic journeys and share it with a friend who also remembers the freedom of their first car. Until next time, keep those memories cruising.